Hello and welcome back to my podcast, Be Fab T Todd. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a podcast for ladies who are looking to become their best fabulous self. There's no judgment here. We all been through something that has changed us, and we are working to become better one day at a time. So this is I focus mainly on women. This is for women who have lost themselves and who are looking to get back to themselves. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So please make sure to follow me, ladies and gentlemen, on Becoming Fabulous with T Todd. Hopefully you guys know how to spell T Todd by now, but if you don't, it's TEATODD. That's Becoming Fabulous with TEATODD. And you can also follow me on Twitter at BFabTTodd, spelled the same way. And I am on Facebook. Yeah, kind of, sort of. I'm working. I'm trying to get there. Mainly just Instagram though, y'all. If you want to catch anything, just head on over to Instagram for right now. And I have put my website on hold for the moment. Trying to just balance everything, you guys. It's a little difficult when you have your child with you 24/7 most of the time, Like even right now, I am recording this podcast while she's in class in a different room on her Zoom call. So, she actually just wrapped up. So she hasn't come in yet. So we'll see how long that lasts. So just in case you hear any interruptions. But we're at her grandmother's house, so I'm for sure she's going to keep her entertained and occupied. But today I wanted to start off with talking about the power of friendships. I know I just kind of like dived in very quickly today, huh? We just getting to the point. But yeah, I want to talk about friendships for a couple of reasons. One, I had a wonderful time chatting with friends on Zoom. And most of us know by now, Zoom is like the new Facebook, I guess you can kind of say. At least that's how I'm kind of seeing it right now. It just seems like everyone is interacting on Zoom. I see all kind of videos on how to use Zoom, how to look your best on Zoom, how to set up calls and all this stuff on Zoom. I don't know how many people are actually registered, like logged on with Zoom, but Zoom is where it's at this moment. And so I had like one of the best times during this shelter in place by having Zoom calls with my girlfriends, with my friends. So that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about that. Another reason is because if you guys watch Insecure, yeah, you kind of already know, and this is going to be spoilers. So if if you haven't caught up on your Insecure episodes, I'm sorry. I'm not one of those people who try to like tiptoe around what happened without giving away information. I just can't. So if you don't like to be spoiled and you don't like to hear what's happening, then please come back to this podcast because I will be talking about what happened. But yeah. So I gave you the warning, so I'm going forward. But yeah, I want to talk about friendships as well because I just watched, I don't know what episode that was. Was that episode 4 or 5? Probably like 5 of Insecure. And the dynamic between Issa and Molly, their relationship, their friendship right now. So I want to talk about that as well. I want to discuss that. And then just also the importance of having friends, like we all need them. Friends. How many of us have them? Friends. Ones that, wait, how does it go? Ones you can depend on. Friends. So, all right, let's see here. I thought I had typed out some points. Where is my points? Here we are. Okay. So the power of friendships, especially during this time. So we all know, like, it seems like things are slowly starting to open up, which is great. But how are our friendships going to be impacted by this social distancing? How has it been impacted already? Have you been keeping up with friends that you normally see on a day-to-day basis? Have you like stopped talking to people just because you don't see them? I'm not going to lie. I'm a very visual person. And for me, I can kind of get wrapped up in my day-to-day life without really checking in on some of my friends. Yes. Now, does that make me a bad friend? I guess to some people, they might say, yeah, like you should be checking in on your friends. You should be, making sure they're doing okay or yada, yada. And it's like, yes, but then also no, like we're grown women. At least I'm a grown woman. My friends are grown women too, with full-fledged families. We have our own schedules, our own lives, like we have to attend to. So it is kind of difficult to sit there, or it's kind of harsh to sit there and tell someone like, oh, you're not being a good friend because you're not checking in on this person consistently. But then at the same time, I kind of feel like, well, with maturity and depending on how strong your relationship is, you don't have to do that. You don't have to, not unless you know for sure, like your friend is going through it, then that's different. You do still want to check in on those friends who, it's really difficult for them, or they might have already had issues before this whole shelter in place taking effect. So yeah, you definitely want to check in on those friends, but at the same time, my friends who are highly functioning, they got their own careers, their own families, their own businesses, like they got a lot going on. We're not sitting here calling each other every day or every other day, Zoom calling, FaceTiming, picking up the phone, even texting. I mean, we will text each other, but still, it's not every day. And I think also with the fact that the way how everything is going, the days kind of have been blending in together. And there has been several times the past 8 weeks where I have literally lost a full-fledged day. I'm like, I did not know today was Friday. Where did Thursday go? Where did it go? I missed a couple of meetings. I mean, not like, like work related or anything like that, but just like fun things I wanted to do because one, I didn't put it in my calendar. I didn't put it on my calendar at home and I didn't put it in my phone's calendar. So it completely slipped my mind. I'm running around all throughout the day, either one, trying to take care of my child, trying to take care of our home, trying to take care of my husband, trying to work on my business and still trying to take care of myself and work on myself during this journey, which I'm not going to lie, I have slipped a couple times. I have been looking quite busted from time to time. Even my husband was like, you gonna wear that outside? I'm like, baby, it's nighttime. It's dark. There's no one's gonna see me in the car with you. Like we were just going to go pick up food and he told me, he's like, you're on your journey. Like you can't walk out the house looking like that. I'm like, okay, all right. It hurt to hear at that moment, but he was telling the truth. So, the day's been blending in. I've been slacking here and there. I'm trying to, stay consistent. I'm only human. But yeah, it's, at this time, it's difficult for all of us. And I think most of us, we're trying to get through this mentally, just dealing with what we have right in front of us. And that doesn't necessarily include like our friends sometimes, and especially if you consider yourself to have lots of friends, at what point do you cut it off? At what point do you say, I can't sit here and call everybody and talk to everybody and be on the phone all day, whether it's on, like Zoom call or, like a face-to-face type of situation or on the phone, because you only have so many hours in the day, especially if you have your own things you have to deal with and handle and take care of and be responsible for. So yeah, that's just kind of one aspect of it. So what is the benefits to having friends overall? What are some of the benefits? So, of course, one of the benefits is like your friends give you energy and, they help give you what you want and what you need because okay, so let me back up a little bit. My husband and I, we had talked about this once before where sometimes you become friends with people, like you're attracted to them, like you're drawn to them because they have something that, of course, that you like, but it could also be something deeper. Like they have something that you want to possess within yourself or you want to develop within yourself. He had talked about how one of his friends, he really liked his, let's see, I'm trying to make sure I'm using the right word because I don't think this is the right word, but he had drive. And no, I don't want to use that word because my husband has a lot of drive himself. Oh gosh. Okay. I can't think of a different word for that. Okay, I'm just going to use drive. So, but my husband has drive too. But it's the way how this friend utilizes his drive or his. Oh, okay. I know what it was now. It was this friend's ability to, yes, still have that drive, but to actually be open and just go after what he wants without holding back, without overthinking or anything like that. So for example, this friend could, oh my gosh, I wanted a brownie. We're at the amusement park and I wanted a brownie. All the carts are closed. They said the park closed at 10. It is 9:22 and everything's closed. I can't get my brownie. This person will literally walk up to one of the cashiers or a manager or, ask to speak to a manager, not in a bad way, but, just ask to speak to a higher up. And he's just so like charismatic where he could just be like, hey, like I wanted a brownie. Like where are all the carts at? I want to buy a brownie. Where can I get a brownie? Can you show me where I can get a brownie? Whereas my husband would just be more like, oh, dang, like they sold out of brownies or all the stands are closed. Well, I guess I just can't get a brownie right now. I'll get it next time. So that was like one of his like reasonings for why, a person could be attracted to another person and want to have a friendship with them because they have that thing that they can like bounce off each other and grow and become better. Like because of having a friendship with this particular person, my husband has been stepping up more to do stuff like that. Like without giving away like specific details, but that's like one of the things, I can use one of the examples with my friendships. One of my friends, one of my very, very close dear friends, she was more, I don't want to say she was more religious than me, but she was, I guess, more connected with God than I was in my younger life. And because of her connection with God, and I've seen her growth, I've seen her glow, I've seen the way how she leaned on God and depended on him. It made me want to have that same relationship with God. Like, yes, I believe in God. I would pray, I would read, but that was just kind of it. I think I was just doing the very surface things. But because of my friendship with her and I seen how she got down with her spirituality, it pushed me to have this deeper connection with God. So like, that's just another example. Let's see. So when you have these type of relationships with your friends, where you guys have this energy where you're bouncing off of each other, it can also help build your confidence because you're working to grow and become better, right? Like I just said, with my friend and her spirituality, that's helping me out. That's helping me become more confident in my relationship with God. It could be with anything. It could be something, at your job. You have a relationship with a friend and, they're a go-getter and maybe you're just more laid back and chill. You're just kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna, if the position opens up, I'll apply. But if I don't get it, no big deal. Meanwhile, you see your friend, whether she works there or not, she's a go-getter and she won't stop at nothing until she can get what she wants in a healthy way, that is. So she's rubbing off on you. So you put in for that position, but then instead of just kind of sitting back and seeing what happens naturally, you step up to the boss. You step up and you put yourself out there a little bit more than what you probably would have, because you see your friend doing it and you're like, I can do that too. Like, she's doing it, I can do it. Now, you're not copying her or trying to be just like her, but you're taking what she has and you're utilizing it for your own growth and your own improvement for you personally. Another benefit of having friends is just that you guys help each other out in times of need and fulfillment. And, in times of need, of course, people who go through a divorce, loss of a child, of a family, of a loved one, when you think of all those, like, those, I don't want to say negative things, but the sad parts of life, like, it's good to have a friend there that you can cry on. You have their shoulder to cry on and they're there for you, even if it's just to just physically be there, not say anything, just to be there. But then it's also great to have friends there for all the joyous moments, the baby showers and the weddings and all the celebrations, the proposals, and just having backyard barbecues and movie nights and date nights and going to the beach together. It's great to have those memories and to have that bonding experience with other people. And you're also just overall more happy, and that you can grow and become a better person because of your friends. Like I had said earlier, with the example of your friend who's a go-getter, she's rubbing off on you and in a good way. And because of that, you went for that other job position and you got promoted and now you're getting paid more. So you're living a better life. You know what I mean? Or you, like, for instance, what I said with my friend, I'm a better person because I got more connected with God because of her. Just friends they're a blessing to have. So some of the things that we should definitely make sure we're looking for in friends, which, most of us, if we probably most likely have friends like this in our lives already. But for those of us who are reconsidering and rethinking our friends and trying to reformulate our group or whatever, just make sure, and this list is just short. There's so many more qualities and traits to look for in friends and for good, genuine friends, I should say. You want to make sure that they're honest and loyal. You want to make sure that they're able to support you and to have a good sense of humor. That, I think that's one of the high points of friendships, is being able to laugh. Like, how can you imagine having a friend where you guys just don't laugh, or they don't have a really good sense of humor that matches your sense of humor? How is that even really a friendship? Because I feel like that's where the basis of friendship kind of come from, is having that commonality to laugh at something, whether it's at yourself, at something else is going on, like humor, laughter. They have to be thoughtful, respectful, and be reliable. You don't want that friend that you're always showing up to support them and they can rely on you. If something happens to them, they just need your help. So for whatever reason, they need your help and you're always there, but then they're never there for you. You might start questioning that friendship. But on the flip side, you want to make sure all those things that I just read, you are to your friends as well. Plus more. Like I said, this is a short list. There's so many other characteristics out there. But on that note, we need to make sure we're giving our energy and our time to the correct people. So you might have to remove some toxic people from your life, some toxic friends. And I think sometimes, we feel like, oh, I've been friends with this person since college. Or, oh, like my parents, are friends with them and we grew up together. Like we were wound babies or wound friends, I guess I should say. Or you feel like you have to be tied to this friend because of financial obligations or social status. Just so many different reasons why people feel like they have to remain friends with toxic people. And honestly, for me, I say move away slowly and surely to avoid the drama and the stress. That's how I personally would do it. But, sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you just got to cut it off like right there and just end it. But I'm a drama-free person, so I personally wouldn't go that way. But you do what you feel is best. But there's no reason to have toxic people in your life. So one of the things you can kind of do to start removing yourself is just stop going to functions they're going to be at that they're hosting. Just kind of stop calling or texting or, just slowly back on out. And I mean, if you have that mental capacity where you're strong enough to just be like, I'm ready for this challenge. If this person is that type of person, then like I said, just cut it off. Just have a heart to heart with them and let them know, like, look, this isn't working. A lot of times friends just grow apart. Some friends are in different stages of their life. I know we experienced this too with a couple of our friends. Some of our friends had kids younger while we weren't even married yet. They were married and they had kids. But those friendships still worked. Why they worked, I don't know the specific reason, but most likely it was just because, we loved each other. Like we love each other as friends and we enjoyed each other's company and we still want to be around each other. But there are friends who, you have a child or you get married and they're just like, oh, well, you have a baby now. You're not as fun because you can't come out and party with us all night because you're married or, whatever the reason is. And that's all fine. Sometimes we need to step away from our friendships and not necessarily just end them or slowly, like what's the word I'm looking for? Slowly dissolve the friendship. But it's just, we're at different parts of our lives. Sometimes friends just can't meet at the same time. And I've dealt with that too with a couple of my friends where we just cannot get it together. My schedule is completely different than their schedule. And as much as we do want to hang out, we just can't, and maybe one day in the future, we'll be able to do so, and I think that's where a mature friendship really comes into play. When you can't nurture the friendship the way you want to at that moment. And that's okay because you have other things going on in life, but you still respect each other and value your friendship. You're just putting it on pause at the moment. Yeah. And then just honestly, just take a friendship for what it is. Try not to make it more than what you think it is. I've done that in the past as well, where I thought I was a lot closer to someone than what they were to me. And talk about feeling like a donkey's butt. Like that really hurt me. It happened to me a couple times, honestly. And I just remember crying to my husband, like, I just don't understand. I don't understand why I've been outcasted or, why why this person didn't see me that way when I seen them that way. And he's like, no, just take it for what it is. Like, you got to look at the facts. You've done this, you've done that, and they didn't reciprocate it back to you. Just like I mentioned earlier, right? The humor, the support, the thoughtfulness, the reliability, the support, all that stuff. Like, are they doing that for you? No, they're not doing that for you. So you have to sit and realize, oh, okay, I'm not that type of friend to them. And you have to be okay with that. I mean, is it going to hurt? Yes, it'll probably hurt. It'll probably hurt you a little bit. It'll probably hurt you a lot, like it did me. But at the end of the day, though, to protect your peace, to protect your energy, to continue working on yourself and moving forward, take the relationship at face value for what it is. The person has showed you their hand. It is what it is. You can't change it. You can't change it. Yeah, so just don't put any more energy towards those type of relationships. So now I just kind of want to move into the whole insecure issue with Molly and Issa. When you think about friendships, I seen the way how their relationship started to fall apart. Now, at what specific moment, I don't really recall. But I do remember the first episode of this season, Issa was having her mixer or her social gathering or whatever, because she was trying to raise money for her block party. And what happened? Molly had made, like I said, I don't remember exactly what was said and like the exact pinpoint of it, but she kind of like downplayed Issa's event, I believe. And she had said something to her. And Issa was just kind of like, oh, like, why would you say that? Like, you could tell by the look on her face, And Molly probably really didn't mean to be intentionally nasty to her friend, but she was, And I think sometimes we get comfortable with our friends, and especially if we've known them for years. And I think Molly and Issa on the show, they've known each other for sure since college. I'm not sure if they knew each other prior. Sorry if you guys hear background noise. Like I said, my daughter and my mother, they're in the house and it sounds like they're playing right now. So, yeah, if you hear noise, that's the reason why. But I think sometimes we kind of take our long-term friends, like the friends that we've had for years and years, basically family. We think of them as family at this point now, right? We take them for granted and we kind of don't respect them to a degree. And not to say that Molly just outright didn't respect Issa at that moment in time, but I think sometimes we will say things that we will say to our close friends, I'm just going to say family, that we say to our family friends that we wouldn't necessarily say to a new friend that we just, we're trying to be in that honeymoon phase with. So for instance, what's her name? Condola. Like Issa said some things to Molly too, that was just kind of like, Issa, you didn't have to say it that way. You could have rephrased it a little differently. Even your tone of voice could have came off better, more loving instead of as harsh. Because I think Issa had said, oh my gosh, Molly, like, I think you just love staying in mess. I think you just love being messy. And that's something that family would say. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I don't know about you and your family, but I know my family, and my family would say some stuff like that. So by Issa saying that to Molly, of course she's kind of like taken aback and offended. But Issa wouldn't have said the same thing. I don't even think she would have even brought that particular subject up or said that to Condola. Her name's Condola? Yeah, to Condola. And that's her new friend, the friend that she, they're vibing really well. Their only setback is, of course, as you guys, you're sitting here listening, is because Condola is dating Lawrence. That's Issa's ex-boyfriend of 5 years. So that's their only setback. But you kind of see how the water, the drop of water in the bucket is forming with their friendship. You see, Molly, she has said what she said, one drop in the bucket. Issa said what she said, one drop in the bucket. And then Molly comes back and says something else, a couple of days later, one drop in the bucket. And then Issa doesn't pick up the phone because she's busy, or she just really don't feel like talking to her at that moment. And that's another drop in the bucket, because now Molly's feeling a certain way, like, oh my gosh, like I need to talk to my friend, but she won't pick up, and especially if she finds out like, oh, well, what were you doing? Oh, I was hanging out with Condola. Oh, so you're choosing her over me. That's another drop in the bucket. So you see what kind of happens with friendships. It gets muddled. It gets very muddled, like all pulled together, and you don't know exactly what came from where, how did it get started, because now you just got this water in the bucket. It's not one drop separated here, one drop over there, where you can visually say, oh, it started from here. And that's just like the analogy I had given you guys when I was talking about mothering yourself when you're being bullied, how you take like a scoop of dirt from the first time you were bullied. How did you respond? You probably kept quiet. So boom, you put that shovel of dirt on being quiet, and then it happens the next day, and then you get another shovel of dirt and you put it on top. And then you keep doing that throughout the years of your life. When you become an adult, you have a mountain, and you don't know where your insecurity of not speaking up for yourself comes from. Well, it came from when you were 5 years old and you were bullied for the first time, and it's the same thing with friendships. It's the same thing. So this is why I know it's so much easier to say, oh, just talk it out. No, because we're human. We have emotions. We have feelings. There's things that are happening in our life at that moment. And it's like, it's hard to just be so open and just talk it out. One of the examples was, I think Issa had called Molly. Molly was at work, and she kind of had a falling out with her boyfriend. Molly had a falling out with her boyfriend, Andrew. And when Issa had called and she had seen her call, she was like, oh, like, I don't want to talk to Issa. Like, you can kind of tell by the look on her face. But then when she picked up and she heard Issa's voice, you could see like her attitude, her emotions had changed. And she's like, okay, I get to talk to my friend. I got to tell her what I'm going through. And as she started to talk, and you can tell like she just wanted to get that off her chest, because she's going through things. She's a human. She's a person. She has feelings and emotions, frustrations. She's dealing with stuff. But then Issa, same thing. She's going through things. She got feelings and emotions, and, she's stressed out because the person that, was supposed to be the headliner of her block party decided to, cancel on her. So of course, Issa, she gets her word in first pretty much and kind of overrules the conversation. And that sets Molly off, where she was being passive aggressive, very passive aggressive. Shout out to all my ladies who are listening who are passive aggressors. I don't know if that's a word, but yes. We're working on that though, right? That's what we're doing. We're working on it. So instead of just being like, Issa, look, I got to tell you something, or trying to dominate the conversation, or let Issa talk and then be like, look, no, you need to hear this real quick. Da, 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 da. But she didn't. And that's because why? The drops in the bucket. It's all muddled together. And she's just thinking about how Issa said what she said the previous day, the previous weeks, and how she's been reacting to her recently, So it can get very, very cloudy quickly. And that's why it really is important to try to remain open and have that line of communication with your friends, as well as with any relationship you have in your life, your significant other, your children, coworkers, whatever. But the thing is, it's like, if you're friends with someone, be open, have an open mind, an open heart to realize you're not their everything. You're not their world, and that they do have other things going on in life. And that's where, I think the hurt really comes in, because sometimes we're looking at ourselves, and we're not really looking at the other person and like, okay, well, what is it that they're going through? Now, don't get me wrong. There are, like I said earlier, there are friends who take advantage, where you're the one who's supporting them and you're the one that's being reliable all the time, and they're not giving you that back. Like, that's different. But to know that you guys have a strong, solid foundation on your friendship, and that this is just a trying time, don't just throw it all in. Don't just throw the friendship away. See it for what it is. Like, okay, I care about this person. I really do love this person. What is going on? Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. It just really made me think of an old friendship that I had, where honestly, I think lines got crossed, communication lines got crossed. And it was a very dear friendship to me, as I think it was to this person too. But, we ended our friendship. Well, our friendship was kind of got the way how Molly and Issa's friendship was, where there was like a miscommunication. And because of that miscommunication, things just kind of started happening. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much all I'm going to speak on that specific topic, just because even though you end a friendship, even if you end on bad terms, I still feel like you should be respectful of that person and their privacy. Because you think about it, you guys were friends, especially if you were super close friends. You know a lot about each other, right? You probably know about things that you don't want anybody else to know about. And I'm not saying that I'm fearful or that I feel like, oh, this person can come out and say all kinds of things about me. No, I'm not thinking that. But I just feel like I want to be respectful of this person and their life, as I would hope that they would be respectful to me in my life. And you never know. You might become friends again in the future. Because one person might grow up and mature and be like, oh my gosh, like I was so in the wrong. Or maybe you both would do it because maybe you both were immature and you both were in the wrong. And you have to set your pride aside and just apologize, right? There was something I wanted to read. Let me see if I can pull it up. So... okay, I don't understand that, because I know I literally pushed like on this particular post, and of course it is not on my like. So now I gotta find it. Oh, is this it? Okay. Let me go there. Okay, so this lady that is on Instagram, she had posted this post. She said, low key moving on when friends aren't friends. And this is by the Hypergamous Hive on Instagram. So let me see. I don't know if I want to read all of it, because all of it does not pertain to what I'm talking about. So let me see. Where do I want to start off? I guess I can just start here. So because it's a long post, she wrote a lot. From the very beginning of this season, Molly has done everything in her power to make Issa's big moment all about her in ways that are irritating, irrational, gaslighting, unnecessary, and petty. The cautionary tale to learn here is that Molly is a high maintenance friend with extra needy tentacles, but who's extra needed, who is only your friend because she never expects you to outgrow, outshine, or surpass her. And that embarrassing scene is the end of tonight's episode, is what I call real life and a truer than true reflection of how a frenemies favorite tool is a wrench. A wrench. Ladies, could you forgive your bestie for dumping a giant cold bucket of sabotage on your head? Or would you be done and done? Or is Issa a user? Or is Issa a straight up user, or does she just overstep her bounds with her hook me up mindset? So friendships go both ways. Was Issa wrong for calling out Andrew and asking for his help when Molly said, no, I'm not going to do this because I value my relationship with this person and I want to see where it goes? Yes. However, I blame Molly first to a point, because I understand where Molly's coming from. This is a new relationship. She wanted to grow. She's really been working on trying to cultivate the relationship that she wants with someone. You know, she's having her own relationship problems, her own insecurities with relationships, I should say. But this was a difficult situation because her friend was in a position where she wouldn't be able to grow. Like, she would fail tremendously had she not had a headliner, a popular headliner at her block party. Let me move my mic up because it's slipping. I have it like above my nose and then all of a sudden it's by my chest. I don't understand. It like slowly moves. Okay, so hopefully that's better. But the issue is just, it started off with that drop in the bucket, you know. Molly said some things, Issa said some things, and that's what really just hurt them. You know, do I think Molly is a frenemy? No, I don't think she's a frenemy. I think what happens sometimes with friendships is the fact that we get complacent in our friendships. Just like I said earlier, you know, our friends become our family, and then we kind of start blurring those lines of boundaries, and we start taking that person for granted, and we kind of start talking to them any type of way. And that's not necessarily true with all friendships or with all people in general and how they treat other people. But I think sometimes we do that, you know, even with our kids. You know, Maddie, I don't know if it's just because I'm home with her the majority of the time, which I think that's what it is, but she feel like she can get one over me a little bit more easily than she can her dad. You know, her dad isn't as easily accessible to her day in, day out throughout the weekday, you know, because he's working. So the same thing here. But I don't think Issa was necessarily being a frenemy. Now, I do feel like because Molly was the one who was used to being, let's see, where does she say that part? So she felt like she was the friend who, that Issa wouldn't outshine or surpass her. Yes. Because I think sometimes we do put our friends into categories. And this is why it's important to have those friendships where you are growing together. Just like with any relationship, with the marriage, you got to grow together. Especially with your children, you know, we have to grow with our children as mothers and learning how to mother them, nurture them, raise them to be, you know, competent adults. We can't keep doing the same tactics that we were using when they were 2 years old versus when you're 10. And it's the same thing with our friendships. But I think sometimes maybe we do get stagnant in our friendships. And this is when it's important and it's okay to kind of take a break from each other. Not like, oh, hey, you know what, girl, I'm done right now. Like, I need a break from you. Of course, we can't say that. We can't say that to anybody. I mean, even if you said to your spouse, they probably look at you like, oh, if you said to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, they're going to look at you like, oh, you want a break? Okay, so that means we're breaking up, but no, that's not the case. I just think sometimes we need to make sure we're growing outside of our circle of friends. And then that also means you have to cultivate new friendships and relationships with other people who are in spaces that you want to be in, if that makes sense. So if you're striving, you may be a new couple who just got married. All your friends are still single, and that's fine. But you might want to start cultivating some friends who are married so you can kind of get an idea of how, just how to grow in your marriage. Like, okay, these people have been married for 10 years. They may be the same age as you, but they've been married for 10 years. They're deep in marriage and they can teach you some things, So yeah, friendships are very important. And I don't even think I really got to talk about my Zoom calls with my friends. I didn't get to speak about that, but just quickly then, I had 2 Zoom meetings or calls, whatever you want to call them, with a group of friends. So I have one group of friends where we met through our children at school. And then I have another group of friends where, once again, I met through our children, but through gymnastics. Our daughters are in gymnastics together. And 2 different groups of women, 2 different dynamics, but still very fulfilling and just, what's the word I'm looking for? Like much needed. Like these friendships are much needed. It was a blessing to be able to visually see these women's faces, because for the women that I see at my daughter's school, we see each other almost every single day. So whether we would see each other and talk for 5 minutes in the morning as we're dropping the kids off, or we would talk for hours or go out to lunch or go to each other's homes, like we were interacting with each other, and like those relationships have been built up. And I personally needed those relationships big time. And I just thank God for that, because if you had listened to my previous episode when I talked about motherhood and all that stuff, some of the things that people don't talk about, I was talking about feeling isolated, being alone, and how when you're a new mom, especially if you become a stay-at-home mom, a lot of your friends are still working. Your husband's probably working, or your significant other, and you're alone at home by yourself with this baby. And if you didn't have the tools, if you weren't taught the tools on how to be a mother during this period of your life, you feel so isolated. You feel alone, because technically you are, for real, you are alone. You're physically alone. But then too, mentally you're alone, because you feel like you're the only one that's going through this at this moment. And I always say, I so wish I had you ladies 3-4 years ago. Had I had this core group of women in my life during that time, do I think I would have suffered my depression and anxiety? I don't think I would have. And if I did, it would have been a lot lesser than what it was. And I think my therapist said my case was very, very mild, very light, but still it was different for me, and it was not who I was. So it felt like the worst thing in the world, but had I had that group of friends, that core of women that we can lean on each other for support, for reliability, for laughter, for venting, for all this stuff, I think I would have been so much better. So if you're listening and you're not a mom yet, definitely cultivate that group of friends. And it's different. I must admit, it is different when you have your work friends versus your family friends versus your mommy friends. And this is who they are. They really are my mommy friends that have turned into true real life friends. Because if our kids don't go to the same school anymore, we're still going to talk. We're still going to be connected to each other because we built that foundation. And then with the other group of moms, like I had said, they're I guess I call them the gymnastics moms. Same thing, same exact thing. Like our relationships, my relationship with them is slightly different because we don't see each other every day. But we have that mature relationship. And not to say that the school moms I don't have a mature relationship with. This is just completely separate. But with these moms, it's a very mature relationship because I'm the only one out of the group who stays home. They work and they're out of the home. And both of them have 2 to 3 kids. I'm the only one with 1. So our relationship dynamic, it's still a very strong one, but we also understand like this is life. Like I can't, what am I trying to say? Not communicate your needs. I can't fulfill your need of being clingy all the time, if that makes sense. It's just different. It's a different dynamic. But I still love those ladies too. They give me what I need. I'm giving them what they need in terms of our friendship. So I say all this to say friendships are very important. I think there's been studies that even shown how isolation is it's not good. It's not good, especially even as you get older. It's definitely not good. So having friendships is good for your mental health, your immunity. Come here, baby. Come here. You don't want to come in? She ran away. That was my daughter peeping in on me. And now I hear her at the door, but she won't come in. But friendships are they're very important, ladies. Even if you just have that one friend, we need friends. We need that one friend. But if you have just one friend, make sure you don't dump on that friend, if that makes sense, because you don't want to just put all that onto one person and make them feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm her only friend type of situation, because that can be stressful for her. And then next thing you know, you can end up with no friends. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you don't want to run out and just call any and everybody your friend. So, ladies, that is pretty much it. I'm going to wrap it up. This was a long one. I didn't think I would take so long on this one. I'm still trying to figure this out on the flow. If I want to keep my episodes to like 30 to 40 minutes, or if we're just going to go with the hour. But honestly, it's just more about just talking, being vocal, getting it out there. Sometimes things just come up and I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's speak on this as well. So I hope you guys are really enjoying the podcast. And if you are, please don't forget to leave me like some comments, subscribe. You can, I never even told you guys about my YouTube channel. Have I told you about the YouTube? I think I have, but I don't think I said it this episode or last episode. But you can find me on YouTube at Todd. I also will have the podcast on YouTube. I need to get back to making more video content though. But yeah, my YouTube channel it's the same thing. I'm putting all these podcasts onto YouTube for those of you who, aren't listening to it on the podcast platforms. But, you can also follow me on Instagram. And yeah, let's just definitely work on ourselves, ladies, because having friendships is very important for our mental health. And having friends also helps us realize who it is we want to become as well, because they, like I said, they inspire the confidence. I don't think I used the word passion, but I'm saying it now. They can also give us passion that we didn't know that we had for certain things, So, all right, ladies, I'm going to wrap it up and I will catch you on the next episode. Bye.